All right, let's jump right into one of the biggest, most mind-bending ideas in all of Christianity, the Trinity. The idea that God is one, but also three. One God in three distinct persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's a concept, a mystery really, that people have wrestled with for thousands of years.
And yeah, that lands us right on the big, obvious question, doesn't it? How can one thing be three things at the same time? How can 1 equal 3 and 3 equal 1? It sounds, well, impossible. And that's the paradox we're going to try and unpack together.
So how do you even start to tackle a question like that? Well, the first step, and this is key, is a little bit of humility. The whole idea of the Trinity comes with this built-in warning label that says, hey, you're dealing with something that's way beyond what our human brains can fully compute.
And this verse from Isaiah, it kind of sets the perfect tone for this whole conversation. It's a powerful reminder that when we start talking about what God is like, we're stepping into territory that's, well, it's not ours. This isn't about solving a math problem. It's about listening to what's been revealed about a being who is just infinitely bigger than we are.
And this is a really important point. The Trinity wasn't some idea that a few smart people cooked up in a seminar. The belief is that this is God revealing himself, a truth that's woven all through the Bible. So it's less about getting a neat, tidy answer and more about standing back in awe of the picture that's being painted. Okay, to try and make this a little less abstract, let's use an analogy. But first, a huge disclaimer. Every analogy about God is going to fall short. They all break down at some point. But they can be super helpful just to get our minds warmed up to this idea of something being both one and distinct.
So, let's imagine a guy named Jack. First, we see him at work. He's a physicist. In the lab, he is all business, analytical, precise, thinking in terms of data and discovery. That's one side of him, right? His professional self.
But then the clock hits 5, and he goes home. And suddenly we see a totally different Jack. He's not a physicist anymore. He's a dad. He's tender, he's nurturing, his whole demeanor changes. It's the same guy, Jack, but he's expressing a completely different part of himself.
And then comes Saturday, he's on the basketball court with his buddies. Now he's Jack the competitor. He's energetic, strategic, yelling, having a blast. Again, it's still Jack. It's just another real, authentic part of who he is.
Okay, and here, this is exactly where the analogy hits a wall, and it's a big one. See, Jack can only be one of these things at a time. He can't be the physicist, the father, and the competitor all at the same instant. But for God, that limitation just isn't there. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit aren't just different masks or roles. They are distinct persons coexisting all at once, for all of eternity, in perfect harmony.
So you might be thinking, okay, I get the concept, sort of, but where is this in the Bible? And it's a great question, because you won't actually find the word Trinity anywhere in there. But the idea of it? Oh, it's everywhere. It's woven into the very fabric of the story.
This scene is probably the clearest picture of it you'll find. At Jesus' baptism, just look at what's happening. You've got the Son, Jesus, physically there in the river. You have the Holy Spirit coming down on him like a dove, and you have the Father's voice booming from heaven. All three, right there at the same moment. Distinct, but completely unified in what they're doing.
And then you have the things Jesus said himself. They were just jaw-dropping claims. When he says something like, I and the Father are one, he's not saying, oh, we get along great. No, he's making a much bigger claim. He's talking about sharing the exact same divine essence.
This was such a big deal that the early church had these massive debates about it. And they landed on this very specific Greek word to make things crystal clear. Homoousios. It basically means of the very same stuff. It was their way of saying, look, the Son isn't some lesser, created being. He is God through and through, just like the Father.
Check this out too. At the very end of his ministry, Jesus gives this final command, and the wording is so subtle but so powerful. He tells his followers to baptize people in the name, singular, just one name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. One name, three persons. It's a beautiful little grammatical clue to their total unity.
Okay, I know this can feel like we're deep in the weeds of theology, but here's why it actually matters. This isn't just an abstract idea for a textbook. The Trinity is actually the blueprint, the very architecture for the entire Christian concept of salvation.
Think of it like a divine team effort. You've got the Father, who is the grand planner, the one who initiates the whole plan of rescue out of love. Then you have the Son, who's the one on the field, accomplishing the mission, paying the price. And then you have the Holy Spirit, who's the one who brings that victory home to each individual person, making it real in their lives.
So you see, it's not some optional extra. It's the engine of the whole thing. Each person of the Trinity has a unique and vital role, but they are all working together perfectly. If you try to take one of them out of the equation, the whole plan of salvation just completely falls apart.
All right, let's pull the camera back for a second and look at the big picture. What does all of this tell us about who God is at his very core? It reveals something, well, something just incredibly beautiful. But before we get there, let's be super clear about what the Trinity is not. It's not saying there are three different gods. That's called polytheism. It's also not modalism, the idea that God is just one person who puts on different hats, which is where our Jack analogy breaks down, right? And it's not the idea that the Son and the Spirit are some kind of junior gods. Nope. The classic, orthodox view is super firm on this. One God, three co-equal, co-eternal, distinct persons.
There's this amazing theological word that tries to capture the relationship within the Trinity, Perichoresis. The best way to picture it is like a divine dance, a constant, flowing, joyful movement where the three persons are mutually wrapped up in each other, glorifying each other in an endless circle of love.
And really, that's the ultimate point. The Trinity isn't a brain teaser we have to solve. It's a revelation. It's a peek into the very heart of God. It tells us that before there was a single star in the sky, before there was anything, God existed in a perfect community of love. It means that relationship and love aren't just things God does, it's who God is.
So let's finish with this blessing from the Apostle Paul. It captures everything so perfectly. It's not just a nice way to end a letter, it's an invitation for us to step into and experience the grace, the love, and the fellowship that eternally flows between the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.